What is the APR? What is the annual interest rate? How much do I have to pay back? Can I get longer terms, lower interest, a monthly repayment, 10 to 20 to 30 years in a business loan at advance, any type of business funding related? Hi, this is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. I'm a business loan broker expert. Happy Monday. Welcome in. Let me know, where are you tuning in from? How are things going for you today? How's your weather out there in the world? I know over here it is quite cold as we are now in December, getting closer to Christmas time. Have you guys done your Christmas shopping? Have you guys been checking your list off as you go, checking it twice, seeing if you are naughty or... I guess you can finish that sentence. Hey, Ibar, welcome in. How are you doing? Nice. Pennsylvania? Oh, I'm sure it is. I have a friend out there. And yeah, I know. They tell me about this time of the year, how it gets over there. And it is like this in, I'll say Washington. I was going to give it up pretty much there. But I want to say as a state in Washington, right now it is cold. We've had some rainy days, but very grateful and thankful that it stops, it comes and it goes. But I don't want to get too off on a tangent. I just went live on the YouTube channel, and I appreciate you if you were able to join. And if you haven't, the replay is now up. And if you haven't subscribed, perhaps that's something you'll want to do, as this is one of the fastest growing channels on business financing, bar none. And I've scoured the internet. I actually have a digital marketing background. So what I'm saying holds a lot of value and it's very firm. And nobody does a lot of what I can do and how I deliver it. I'm very truthful, transparent with you, honest, trustworthy. You have a source at your fingertips. Just imagine being able to have somebody like they're from another world. Like you've never explored that planet before, but you would like to get there one day. Maybe you want to go to Mars. Maybe you want to go to the moon and just see what it feels like to be an astronaut out there in space and just get that experience and learn from somebody who's going to educate you not only on the SBA EIDL loan, which I'm going to be jumping into on the forgiveness here. What's happening now? What could happen in 2023? So please stick with me on that. But if you are interested, if not now, you're not in the market, it's okay. I don't pressure people. I don't say, hey, you need funding now. I'll guide you. I'll help you. You can watch my content. And again, I share things that nobody else shares, and it's things that my underwriters, my lenders, more insights into what they're looking for with all of these different services and so much more. I'll jump into the comments in a moment, but yes, El Paso, Texas, I do know that. So welcome in. And so what I want to go into now, I was listening into a room the other day. I was in a Clubhouse room. You guys know the Clubhouse app where people talk. I'm not much of a talker or a video person, honestly. I'm an introvert. But I know that this form of content helps a lot of you. And I get that it can also help build some form of trust. And I do it legitimately. It's not unethical. It's always ethical. And so I was listening into a room in the audience and just listening how somebody was saying how, you know, the APRs, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting the interest rates. And they're trying to get us a daily or a weekly repayment. And I did my part. I've said a few things. It was actually today. I thought it was yesterday or the other day. That was actually today earlier. And I chimed in the comment section and I said, hey, and I said some factual evidence, and I'll speak to that right now. The majority of you who are looking for a loan online, non-EIDL loan related, are going to end up getting a weekly or a daily repayment. Why is that, Michael? Because, for one, you're not offering up collateral. Two, it's too high of a risk in the market. You know where we're at right now? It's so difficult for even lenders, private lenders, to want to lend out as much as they used to. They are doing it more frequently, but maybe not a gargantuan amount to one individual or one business owner or entity as much as before. Now that could change, but they're frequently still in it. And so when it's non-collateralized, you're too high of a risk. The majority of those who get a monthly option just based off your bank statements, business bank statements, the majority, non-collateralized, revenue-based, meaning Everything that comes into your business being deposited is what we're looking at. Not just the merchant cash advance traditionally on those credit card statements, but we're looking at that and everything in between. If you don't have a 750 and above FICO for the majority of the time, you don't have 3+ years in business, you're not depositing and have revenue and sales of 50,000 and above per month consistently over 3-6 months. That's why you don't get a monthly repayment. And even if you have that, that's still not enough. We have to look at your industry. We have to look at other debt obligations you may have, other interests, other accrued loans that you have right now or have just recently taken out. And if it's a credit program, it's a bit different because we're looking at a lot more of debt to income ratio. So that's where I wanted to put that. Now, for the SBA EIDL loan, and I know some of you in here are like going to drop like flies because the only reason you're here is because I want to learn about EIDL, Michael. I don't care about another loan or whatever an MCA loan is or building my business credit or actually doing some work, because as a business owner, that's what you should be doing, is separating your personal and business credit. So what I said on that live video, there is no forgiveness. A lot of people are looking for an EIDL loan to be forgiven. Maybe a partial forgiveness that is in proposal as we move into 2023, as the administration is looking into that. Believe me, they're looking at this stuff, and from my officers that I've spoken to, they're fact checking everything. They're looking at previous numbers, how many loans were dispersed. They're looking at what time, when those were dispersed, fraudulent activity, the amount of people that are actually making their repayments on time. And that's how they're making these changes on to giving you about up to 6 months of an EIDL repayment adjustment with the hardship accommodation plan. And if you haven't checked that out, go into your CAF system. That option may be available. And if it is not available, it's because you're not within 60 days of your first payment. Within 60 days of your first payment, that's where it should start showing up. It's either a button, Bob, welcome in, how are you doing? And or as a link to get started. I'm doing great. How about yourself? And so that's where you want to refer to, and making sure you go through the SBA.gov when you're going to go and make your payments, do them on time, know what you have to pay. But as in terms of getting it forgiven, there's no clear indication of that, and I wouldn't be sitting on that. And it's going to be very difficult moving into 2023 if it does not happen, if there's no even partial forgiveness, because that's when I'm going to see the most amount of businesses hit. And that's where I'm going to see a lot of businesses being gone. Like they're going to evaporate like that overnight. And it's not all your fault because the government got in the way and you had to shut down your business partially or full. Now, let me know how many of you in here had to fully shut down or even partially shut down your business. What was the most affected part of your business? In what category were you affected the most? And also, are you looking for growing, expanding your business as opposed to just getting financing to pay off debt, the rent, the mortgage? You're just trying to save money, nickel and dime, and you're just not trying to get a form of a repayment that's not worthy right now. Happy to hear it. Has it? Yeah, and it's the difference when you slow down in this time that we're in this market. In another market, if you would have slowed down even for a large amount, a lot of businesses were able to just jump back like that, literally with snaps of a finger. But right now, because of this whole recession and how much deeper we can get into things, it's become much, much more difficult. I thought I'll have to look at it again, but I thought I gave you the latest response. But I'll write it down right here just so I have it. And at some point, Udi says, if you come in here today, I have responded back to your email. The questionnaire form didn't come in somehow, and you'll have to resubmit it. So I apologize for that. I don't know if it's on your end or my end. But I fixed it up in that time, so maybe there's something how it was submitted. I am located in Washington. How about yourself? Ah, nice. Ottawa. I want to venture out to Toronto. I've been to Vancouver when I was younger. Nice place. But I'm pretty sure it's cold out there right now. Are you? So here's the difference. If you are in Canada, Puerto Rico, it's harder outside of those two, outside of the US. Like those three are one thing. But like I have people who are like in Nigeria. It's so frequent. And it's not as simple as getting them a loan because the lenders won't operate in those. And then the types of banking that they have. And then it's not a US or Puerto Rico, Canada slash type of setup. So, if you were in Canada and had a business in the US, that's different than being in Canada and having a business in Canada. So that's where I would look at it and go, if you're looking for an acquisition loan, the SBA is the best way to do it. Now, if you can't get an SBA loan, I've done this in the past and I do it a lot actually. For many reasons, they can't get an SBA loan. And if you're looking for an acquisition, maybe there's a buyer partner buyout, maybe there's a seller financing, then we look at doing perhaps a mix of a personal loan / startup loan with like an MCA, getting a credit line. We could do an influx of probably a business. It's going to be harder to do a business term loan because those are more US based. But yeah, we can try to do a combination of them and see if that's available and see how much perhaps you have for a down payment if need be. Most definitely. And in the logistics industry, I do those deals like daily like that. And it just depends on the type of service. Low doc, medium, high doc. So low docs, medium docs, high docs probably take between 1 to 5 days, more to 1 to 2 weeks. And then if it's an SBA loan, it can be a little bit longer. What I say to that, Michael, which great name, by the way. It's my name. Very biblical. Bio, link click. First button, click the funding submission form. And then fill out your funding details on that form. And you'll have two options. It'll say non-startup versus startup. So select which one, either one applies to you. You'll see the form after that. Fill it out thoroughly, please. And once you do, what I'll then do is evaluate it, analyze it, and give you a proper response back via email on your best funding option and options. I just recently submitted a client looking for a CRE loan. I just sent them back their questionnaire form with all of the details broken down. All they need to do is submit the application, and then I'll ask for more documents. And the way that I do that process, it's different for other services. Okay, let me write that down here. Yeah, I just have to make sure what banking institution you're with, and this goes for anybody, even in the US. There are some business owners who I've dealt with before who will look at their business bank statements and we look at their type of banking and they're like, is that legit? And we have to do a lot of stuff in our underwriting. You have a question? I am interested in getting a loan for my real estate brokerage business. Can you do that? I have the license. Well, knowing that you have the license is an addition. But yeah, I can definitely help with this. I've helped out real estate brokerages. And I just want to know exactly what you'll be using those funds for, because if it's for not a rental. Yeah, rental applies to it because it is a real estate investment, Airbnb, rental, multi-property, single-family homes, not owner-occupied, and it's not commercially, really. But what happens is when you're getting money for your real estate brokerage, you're high risk. You're up there with like restaurants, you're up there with trucking, and you're out there with any kind of accounting, law firms, financials, basically that industry. It's a very high risk to lend on, even if it's like, people in the credit fixing space, like the way they take, with their bank statements and the way that they can actually get a loan on their processing, it's a bit different. But yeah, definitely I can help you with this. I just have to understand better how you're going to be using your funds. And I do these types of deals, like literally when I say this, I do say it truthfully, daily. And it just depends on the details you have as well as those use of funds Thank you, Michael. If that's the case, you're putting your money for working capital growth and expansion. That's what you just listed there without saying that. As opposed to it being like, I want to go get an Airbnb, or you know how a lot of business owners, they have houses that they buy, they put them up for sale, then they would just turn it over. There's a timeshare part of that equation. That's not the case here, and you're going to be using it for working capital, getting, like you said, equipment. And now it's a different thing for me to understand how much you're willing to put in. Yeah. And it's the difference for me just wanting to know how much you're going to be putting in for each of those. So if I came to you right now, I'm sure you know this, but you have a plan. You say, hey, I'm going to take. Right, yeah, that's kind of how I kind of split that. And I have knowledge in a bit of what you're doing. So I understand what you're trying to do there. But for me, my next step would then say, do you have a plan on how much you want to put into each of these segments, each of these aspects? If I said I wanted to get in total, let me ask you, how much are you looking for? So if you said you wanted to get 200,000, then my next question, I would reverse engineer you and ask, well, how much are you going to be applying for each and every one of these components? So I need to get a new office. How much will you think that will be? And then I need to get equipment, and then that will be how much? And then I'm going to need some advertising for a budget. Okay. And then another question that I would even ask, and I do this all the time, how well do you know your business? How much of a repeating pattern has been occurring? So the difference between somebody taking 250,000 and somebody else taking 250K for the same things you need is somebody who has repetition. Somebody who says, yeah, I have a pattern. Like if I ask you, you put $1 in, do you get $3 out of your marketing and advertising? I do. I do things like that right now. And so if I put $1 in, I get $2. If I get 1 to 2, 1 to 3, what's my return on my ad spend? So I got to look at all these numbers myself, and I go, can I raise the budget? Can I increase the limit? And can I usually, most of the time I will. So I say, hey, I just need a 50,000 for my advertising. I'm have a few campaigns, or I have one campaign, and then I need it for equipment about another 120,000, and the rest of it I'm going to need it for a new office space. Maybe it's a commercial building. But instead of getting a commercial real estate loan specifically, maybe an SBA 7A loan, I'm working a lot of those deals right now. SBA 7A loan deals, they're all coming to me because I don't mess around. I know how to handle documents, and that's why you want an expert, because it's the service, it's the lender, it's the underwriter, but it's also the handling the documents. And so I pre-underwrite files before they go into an application, before they even go into the underwriting. I know a lot of the times, because I'm not speculating. I'm not just basing it off on theory, thinking that everybody's going to get approved. I'm over-promising and under-delivering people. So 250,000, yes. Now, again, it depends on what you bring to the table. Like if you're looking at it from a revenue-based perspective, I don't want to ask you this question now because it may seem a bit sensitive, and for the audience, it would be a great learning lesson. If you haven't seen me do this, I've done it before in the past. But I will ask you, what is your lowest monthly revenue in the last 3 months? And you don't have to give me that. We can fill that out in the form. It's between you and I. Nobody else sees it. So again, if you fill out that form in the bio or go to viralfundingsolutions.com, that is my site, viral, something going viral, funding, and then solutions with an S at the end, .com. And then you can scroll down, go to the part where it says how it works, click that button underneath it. You'll see the form. Fill out that form. Lands into my email, evaluate, analyze, response back via email. Literally, you can get started in that email. And if there's anything you have questions to, you can send me a response back via email. You'll probably have my mobile number by then. It's not always necessary to have a phone call. Sometimes it is. But with my processes and my systems, I trim the fat. In other words, I rule out people who are going to just waste energy and time. This is why I do it the way that I do it. If it's a consult, Facebook consult to begin with. Not everybody gets a phone call. No, I cannot say yes to everybody because I got things to do, and then 2, who knows where that goes? A lot of people just seek information. In the very first beginning, when I got started in all this, I didn't know any better. And so I took a Zoom call with some real estate investors. I took calls from these people because I try to help people. And I knew that that wasn't the best way to approach it. So once I finally built my systems, I realized that a lot of people are tire kickers. A lot of you guys are just kicking rocks. And I'm not saying you, But I'm saying to the general, and if you are that person, it's time to change that behavior. Because if you're going to work with someone like me, go do it underneath someone else if you want to do that to them. But with me, I have family, I have obligations, I need energy when I'm done with my work. And you're going to get the best when you have that allotted time with me. Yeah, and I said 50,000 like a really low amount because now I know how much you wanted. I knew it was going to be closer to 100 because when you're asking for like more than 100,000 and you're asking for those separate pieces, a lot of the revenue that's going to be driving you right now, and you can see a big change like right away if you have a pattern, is that marketing and advertising campaign or campaigns. So yeah, I just lowballed that at 50,000 as an example. But yeah, normally a lot of business owners end up getting, into that, like you said, the 75 is like a really good sweet spot to start with, and then to 100,000 and above. But that's if you have the qualifications. Sounds good. And in person, what I mean by that is, or what you probably mean by that is probably a phone call. And like I tell everybody, it doesn't always end up being a phone call right away. And not in all cases. I had a business owner on Saturday. He wanted a phone call, but he wasn't listening. He wasn't reading. He wasn't listening. He wasn't observing. He wasn't even looking at the information that I sent him. So I said, hey, it's already in an email. What you got to do is read it, see what's needed. Do you qualify? Do you have the requirements? If you do, there's the link. Get started. Now, if there's more that you have to explain to me, I get it. Sometimes you can't say it all on an email, but for the majority of the times you can. And maybe there's something you need to explain to me. You need to hear my voice just to make sure that it's a real person. And it is a real person. It's me who will pick up the phone. I'm a very nice individual, but you'll know that I don't waste energy or time. I'm very punctual. You'll hear it in my voice before I even say a word. And I devote that time to people who actually deserve it, who earn it. So it doesn't always need to be a phone call, just so you know this. It may not even be a phone call. What I'll do is after you submit that questionnaire form, if you do this after, and it'll land in my email, which I'm in right now that it should be landing in, and it hasn't yet. But what'll happen then, and I just got a word back from my underwriter. And so what'll happen is then I'll evaluate, analyze it, and then give you a lump sum of an email. Like it is huge. For the majority of the times, you have to even click the link down below to open up in a new tab so you can see the whole message desktop and tablet. Mobile, a bit different. But you'll see everything, an introduction, everything you can and can't qualify for, to a conclusion and a roadmap at the end of it. Even if you don't need that service now, guess what? Oh, I remember Michael sent me this. I'm just going to go open up that email, fill out that application. Now I'm ready for this service. I have it in one place. I don't even have to bother him. I don't even have to send him an email or a text message. I can just refer back to that email and get started. And again, like I said, I vet the best lenders and underwriters. I'm not just saying that. So what you're seeing is different than someone else. And it's customized. Does anybody else have any questions? And if you guys are getting value from this, I would greatly appreciate you if you shared the room with others. No need to. I hardly ever say that. And I won't be that person who goes, yeah, what are you guys doing? Share the room. No, I'm not going to say it all funky. It may sound in a boring way, but that's what you want. Business gets boring over time. If you've been in it long enough, those of you in here know that. You do the same thing every single day. How boring it is, it's another thing, but you're putting your reps in. Get your reps in. And then it gets boring. And then you keep moving. Kenneth, appreciate you. Thank you. And I'll look out for it. I'll be on here for about another minute or two. I'll look for it to come in. And I'll evaluate it and analyze it. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay. Hopefully it comes through here in a moment. But it was the questionnaire form on my site. Be careful of pretend to be accounts. Like if you navigated away from here and you couldn't go to my profile directly, there are people who pretend to be me. I'm not associated with them. Excuse me. So does anybody else have any questions? Take advantage of this time, guys. You guys don't get this anywhere else. There it is, Kenneth. Is it okay if I call you Ken? Is that what you prefer? As you had mentioned? Hey! You know, what are the chances of you guys having the same credit score? Awesome job on keeping... I gotta applaud you for that. You know why? Because I'm sure you've been through this. However, what I didn't get from you is the existing amount. Now, you probably didn't list it because is it a COVID EIDL loan that you have, or is it another type of a loan? Yes, I had that on my mind and you said it. Yeah, you have to, regardless. I had another business owner. I was so sad. He's coming back again, but we gave him an initial $35K and we checked this. He didn't put his second owner on the application. And I'm like, who told you not to do that? Some guy out there, and yeah, they overpromised you and underdelivered you, didn't they? Yeah, that's what it sounded like. Not with me. When you come to me, list both owners. And it goes without being said. You have another owner, list the other owner. And if it's a 50-50 split, yeah, we're going to take the lowest credit score. So that the fact that you're actually monitoring each other and making sure, hey, if one person takes the bulk of the payments, okay, what do they got to do? If I do it 1 month, they do it the next month. Transition. And you know because it's a repeating pattern. So what this tells me is that you have a repeating pattern. You have a pattern that knows, like, okay, if I make these types of payments, I know when it'll be paid off. It'll be paid off before the end of that month, before the closing date, due dates, etc. You have a plan in place. And so that's the best thing you want. Now, answer me this. Do you have an EIDL loan? Is that why you didn't put the existing amount? And it's not another business loan, an advance? The reason I asked for that existing amount, and I know you may not have the number, so you didn't put it there. You maybe thought it was a little bit too much to put, but just a little bit would have been helpful for me, because what that then does is say, hey, what kind of loan do you have? What kind of debt did you have? If it's not an auto loan, that's different. Auto loan, other personal loan. I mean, those are other things based on DTI. But if you had an advance or a term loan, maybe it was a bank loan, a line of credit, that would be good for me to know, because then I go, okay, we can jump on top of a second position on top of that line of credit you have with the bank, if possible. Or we can get you an unsecured term loan outside of the bank while you have a line of credit there. Or probably you already have an advance that you haven't paid off 50% of that balance. So these things are good for me to know up front, so I don't have to come back and ask for them. And even if I didn't ask for them, I'll do my best to pre-underwrite the file. I'll show you in that description, like, hey, you said you had an existing business loan, and if they haven't paid over 50% of the balance, you have multiple positions, and maybe you're trying to consolidate it and put it underneath one. This is the circumstance you'd have to meet first. So it's good for me to know these things. Appreciate you. Thank you, Ken, for new tenants. And you have that right here, what you put in the additional notes, but I want to make sure that I write additional amount here. Got it. I listed what you put there in addition to what you already said, and you put a little bit there already. And I hope your business has been going good this year. And I know we all take a backseat. I have a business owner right now in the trucking industry. A few of them actually getting close to like 3-4 million right now. And, you know, I told them, like, over the phone call, like, you're one of the very few right now who, like, I'm sure you're very, without me saying this, you're very grateful and thankful for what you have, because a lot of truckers right now in that industry have been completely wiped out. But for those of you who started one now, it may not be as desirable, but when you get through this phase, you guys are going to be thriving. Has it? Let me put that down. Yeah, so what I'm looking from this, Ken, it's a working capital situation where it would make more sense with the occupancy and a few of the other things you needed funding for to get you a lump sum. With your revenue where it is and the credit profile, like I can give you somewhat of an answer now. Being that you have an EIDL loan and it's not an advance, EIDL won't affect. That's why you brought up EIDL. EIDL wouldn't affect you getting like a term loan or an advance or a line of credit. That's different, and especially different from an SBA 7A loan, 504 loan, CRE loans. And I see the term length you're looking for, and you're negotiable, which is good. You want to be flexible. All right, good. You're looking for a couple of months down the road that you'll need the funding for. You're in a high-risk industry, just so you know. But I've done that space before. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I could do. Just know that if it were a lump sum, it's difficult because the majority of lenders that give people a monthly repayment, non-collateralized, we're not talking collateral. If you wanted collateral and you wanted 5 years, then yeah, we could work on that. Another form we can do is a Hybridge SBA 7A loan. I'm doing a lot of those right now, where we can get you in the meantime financing, and then we can look at getting you approved for an SBA loan. And that's the 7A loan. That's the expansion, growth, capital. You can use it for renovations. You can use it for practically anything you need, even an SBA 7A commercial real estate. I'm doing a lot of those right now. And in the meantime, we can get you probably like a merchant cash advance. Not entirely that. There's an unsecured term loan, which would be perhaps the one you want to work with more of an APR. But sometimes they're not based on APR. They're based more on factor rates. So they're kind of an intermix with an MCA, but based off of all revenue and or a line of credit. So we can combine a couple of those services, an MCA with a line of credit, a term loan with a line of credit. And in the meantime, we're looking to get you approved for an SBA Express loan. What I'll do, Ken, is I will look over your email questionnaire, which I have right now. And what I do with everybody, I have a process. So I'm a very huge professional on this. Like I've mastered my systems. Like processes, systems, automations are the livelihood of a business. Like you got to have those three. And so for me in this business, what I do is I will evaluate it when I have more time. I'm going to go take a break, sit on the couch for a little bit. And maybe tonight, because it's a Monday, maybe I'll get to it tomorrow, hopefully early. Fridays and Saturdays are my catch-up days. But I'll respond back to you with a lengthy email. And I'll text you. Usually when I'm done, I go, hey, Ken, this is Michael, the business loan broker. Just wanted to see how you are doing. And I also wanted to drop in and let you know that I sent you an email with the subject line of boom. And then you can refer to that email. It's simple. You go to that email, boom, look at it, revise it. And then from there is literally where you can get started. You can reply back to that email if you have any questions. And it's not always like it's going to be necessary for a phone call. Like I said, again, I just don't want to have that energy and time proponent being taken away. I have business owners right now who are doing nonsense things because their ego is getting in the way, their frustration. A lot of business owners haven't really worked on themselves. And so I don't want to really work with an individual who has like that mindset or that attitude or lets their ego, if they have it, get in the way. Because once that comes into an application, I can only imagine how difficult that'll be, that transition from helping that person to an application to then getting that offer. And like right now, I have a business owner who, I have multiple of them who, you know, I put so much personalness into it and so much business side into it for them to get to know me, for me to get to know them, and then for them to do something at the end of it that wasn't really like gonna be the best. And it's like, so these are moments where I have to be more cautious about who I give that attention to. And like I said, it doesn't always have to be a phone call. What you're going to see in that email, Ken, and everybody else in here, your first option will, I'll probably show you the Hybridge SBA 7A loan. I'll show you the Hybridge SBA 7A. I'll go through the qualifications, the requirements, documents, how you can start your online digital application, what other documents I'll need. And this is what I have business owners doing right now. You could be this individual, and this is highly what I recommend you do. Even if you didn't want an SBA 7A loan, but it looks like you want 5 years. So realistically, for 5 years, you'll want to get an SBA 7A loan. You'll want to get an SBA 7A by far. Because lenders are not lending past 3 years. Because online Traditional banks don't want to lend past even 2 years right now, let alone 36 months. It has to be a high amount that you're getting approved for. But I would do this. I have a business owner right now, a couple of them actually in the home builder space that just recently, like today, got back to me. But every industry I work with, and I do it exceptional. And so they send me all their documents, and you'll see it in that email. So you'll see that email, Ken. Start getting these docs together. And everybody else in here watching, get your docs in order. Ken, without me even telling you what docs I need right now, get your docs together. I promise you this, that I'm going to send you it in the email format. You're going to be like, wow, this guy does not around. Seriously, I don't. And so I'm going to send you an email that's very lengthy. The top ones are going to be the best. The middle ones, avoid those. Those don't work best for now. Those lenders wouldn't work. Credit repair, business credit. I'm going to show you a lot of different things if you need those solutions, because I do more than this. And I'm going to give you that home run you're looking for. Promise you. And whether it's the SBA loan or a different service, I promise you. I'm going to work with you and I'm going to help you out. And it'll show you. So the Hybridge SBA loan broken down. I'll come to the comments in a moment for you guys. Sorry. And you're going to be like, this guy made it so effortless for me. Holy, like literally. And out of anybody that I've tried to get help with, this guy honestly gave me his best. And I value people who do that for me. Even if I just would just save an extra 5 to 10,000 maybe with a different online or offline. But there's more over the long term of the numbers making more sense. So you have to look at that. And it's vice versa. So yeah, you'll open up that email. I'll show you the docs, like 2 to 3 years. Usually it's 3 years of personal and business tax returns, year-to-date financials, profit and loss, balance sheets, last year's 2019 to 2021, etc. But right now is the time to do it before tax season. This is what I would be doing right now. Before you have to start all over again and do that. So now let me come to some of you guys who have questions and been asking things. So hopefully, Ken, that's addressed some of the objections or perhaps some of the questions you had in mind. And literally, you might want to get everything in a doc and send it to me in a zip folder. And I'd say 6 months of bank statements, last year's 12 months of bank statements. If we're looking at higher doc SBA financing, I'll send you some few forms to fill out online and then hard copy PDF. Yeah, and if I don't get to you today, Ken, it's because it's 2:20 here and I've been on and on today. I went up for about 45 minutes on a live, so I'm a bit tired. I might even take a nap. But if I don't get to you tonight, hopefully tomorrow, if not soon in the week, but I get flooded. But I got you at the top because I know you're here. You're showing seriousness. You just didn't say something and didn't do anything. You said something, you took action. And then there's people right now who are emailing me back and I go up to the top. This person, I don't care if you're doing $2 million a month, man. Right now, I've had people who do $2 million a month who are emailing me and I'm not responding back because they crossed the lines. And some people don't get my response right away. Other people deserve it more. That's just how it is. People who go, well, I'm doing $2-3 million a month, man. I can do better without you. Go find something that works. Go put your credit out for the web for third-party lenders out there to go disperse your information to different companies and you don't even know what's happening. You don't know if they're trustworthy and reliable. I have the best preferred lender partnerships. I do this every day, guys. I get the underwriting feedback. I get the lender's feedback. I have meetings with those lenders. I have personal and business relationships with them. Zoom calls, phone calls. I actually have a phone call this week coming up for something big, a big transition on my side and how I'm able to affect so much in partnership with certain types of lenders and organizations. So you guys are not getting tricked by me at all. With others, be careful. New York salesman, No, you don't. I'm not like that. I'm not a salesperson at all. Although, in a forum we're all selling. So, but I don't mean it as in like I'm a salesperson. I went to school academically, played Division I sports and soccer, and so, I come from a different. I've built those marketing skills now, but it's not like I'm forceful with people. I'll start at the top and then come back down. Appreciate you. Thank you. I'm kind of like trembling, guys. Like, it's because I'm talking here a lot. And I don't talk. When you see me in my own personal life, I'm not a talkative person, even in business, but I know this form of content helps you. So just imagine being tired. I'm just being tired up here today. And so I'm going to have to go relax. I usually like to separate myself from my family for a few hours in the evening, just so I can probably lay in my room for a little bit. And then I come out, converse with people. But I keep it very minimal on days like this. I'm sorry to hear that. Excuse me. Yeah, and I bet it did a lot too. Yeah, we have to be careful too about whether it directly or indirectly affects our business. It always affects our health. Whether it's the business that's affected first or not, it's usually our health that we have to be very careful and protective of. And if we go into business with some other partner, significant other, or someone else you have share with, maybe it's an equity partner, understand who you're getting into bed with. Understand who you're putting your pajamas for, your socks on for, who you're getting ready for. There's always something that happens when there's either a divorce, and there's things where they freeze your account. Now you have attorneys. Like I have business owners who do high six figures, seven figures, who come to me and I go, I can't help you until you clear this up. You have to go through your attorney. You have to get notes. You have to get disclosures. You have to get a lot of stuff that's going to take some time. It's not going to happen over a week or a month. Excuse me. Welcome in. You have a trucking company? How's that been going for you? Are you more of a local? You kind of out and about? Are you the one taking on most of those jobs? With 3 years in business, that's a good question. So you're kind of past, I don't want to say today I say for a trucking business, the honeymoon phase. Hey, you get married, that honeymoon phase just kind of dissipates like that. But in like the transportation / trucking world, I would say the honeymoon phase is past 5 years. With 3 years, you're still considered a higher risk. With 2 years, you've proven that you can do things and at a certain degree, the pattern, but you're still working. You're still trying to figure out how to get those costs down. Your expenses could be rising over time. So you probably more or less already figured that out. So with 3 years in business, I want to set the bar here, and I have content on my YouTube channel. You guys can go watch this. And I talk about, I'll actually be bringing another trucking content out here soon. I have it unlisted. But with the trucking transportation industry, highest risk I think out of every industry right now, even with insurance and with a few other ones. But to even be considered for like getting even 50,000 in an amount of financing, you literally not even have to be doing 50,000. You got to be doing closer to 60 to 70,000. For someone to get you a monthly lump sum repayment, you have to have at least 5+ years, 5+ trucks, and operational. We'll look at these things. For the majority, 5+ years generating you revenue. How is your revenue being generated? And upwards of 75 to 100,000 a month. And a 750+ FICO credit score for the majority of the time. If you don't have those things, and you have to have literally like no debt, no loans opened, no high debt to income ratio, although it's revenue based. Because right now I have truckers who are doing 50,000 a month. They were only given 35,000 in an offer. They were given a weekly repayment, which is fine. That's what happens. You're going to start off with a weekly repayment for the majority. But you can work yourself into a monthly perhaps. You can stay weekly. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just when you go monthly, it's not as black and white because a lot of people end up defaulting. There's a lot more payments you have to make. And you probably have just so much debt on your personal side. You got to clear all of that up, man. Like, why do we got to give you another monthly repayment that you won't be able to pay back? And you're going to be asking us to cut down the payment. You want more financing, but you've over leveraged your 30 to 40%. We can't give you an additional 30% on top of that. So now you're only left with like 10% cash flow at the end of a month. Like, what the heck? We're going to kill your business doing that. So we have to be careful. You only have 1 year? Yeah, with 1 year, limited, but you can qualify. With 1 year, you're more, it's revenue based, it's different. not strong revenue, not strong balances, you're going to get closer to like that 75 to 100% and your lowest monthly revenue, or sometimes we look at the average monthly revenue. Yeah, I'm not sure if I have I responded back? Filled out that email questionnaire. I thought I have. But that's what I will do. When I look at the questionnaire form, I will go ahead and look it over and then submit it back. Got it. Yeah, so that applies, guys. In the trucking and transportation industry, don't expect the best. It's crazy right now. Some people, like I have like a couple of trucking transportation business owners, literally, who are getting upwards of like 3 million right now in an SBA loan because they have it. They have the qualifications. Now others may get like 350, 150,000 up to 5 years, 7, 10 years. Maybe it's an express loan. You got to ask yourself: is that 150 with 350,000 going to be worth it? Yeah, it'll help me minimize my payment over 7, 5 years, whatever that is. So I get about a year into it'll look like this, and then I can make some payments here. So it does make sense to certain individuals. You have something that comes up, you have the money to use it. And then we could probably get you another SBA 7A loan. Maybe we get you more the next time. Bridge funding, faster funding. Yeah, I'm trying to help you guys with the trucking transportation. I specialized in that industry for a long time, so I know how it works. I'm always up to date in it. I have people getting equipment financing, leasing to own, sales lease back, asset-based financing, giving up heavy equipment, accounts receivable, everything you can think about. Cash flow, credit, collateral, all three, 1 to 2, 3. I'm helping them right now as we speak. You are welcome. Welcome in, Army vet. Thank you. Have you served? That's what I take from that. If you have in advance, thank you for your service. I have friends who were in the Army. I have an uncle who was actually in the Navy. But regardless, thank you for serving. And for an e-commerce business, I've done these so many times. A lot of this goes for, the whole marketing and advertising. A lot of e-commerce businesses look for capital for that primary reason. Inventory in marketing and advertising. There's some other things too involved on how you have your business set up. It's different per industry. But yeah, I can definitely help you with your e-commerce business. There are some platforms. A lot of people in the e-commerce space like to get into those like PayPal Working Builder, loan builders. Be very careful of those. The Squares of the world. Even with things like Shopify. I've done video reviews on these and they can work, but there might be a much more heftier fee. And you're not working with the private lender, so when they go ahead and see that you made payments, like they'll give you more flexibility, better terms, better rates, more funding over time. So that's what I would recommend if you're going to base it off of revenue and there's no if you have inventory to give up, yeah, we can work on an inventory financing situation and get you in with assets, but it just depends on what you're wanting. Doing my best. Thank you for the encouragement. You're always in here, and I know I'm trying to do my best at all times. Like right now, I'm almost like out of breath. Water next to me. I have some in a little bit. But your encouragement, as well as everybody else's, you guys don't know how much that goes. It's an understatement putting it into words. I can't even find the words because it wouldn't even be as impactful. I'm a person who wants to show you. Let me show you. I put something into words, I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm not a person who says one thing and does another. And if I change my mind about something, I don't just leave somebody. I go, hey, I'm not interested, Michael, but thank you, appreciate you, and I may need you in about 3 to 4 months. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Good question. What business is the quickest to get a loan for? That is not a question that gets asked a lot. And it does vary, but each and every one of them, I would say, man, it's a toss-up between a few of them. I can't say one exact thing because it's the market that dictates the condition of an approval, how long it takes, but you have to also factor in the person, like their business, but also like what they're doing on their personal side, because we use their personal credit a lot of the time to get them a business loan. Now, if we're talking business credit, it's a bit different, but we're leveraging somebody's personal details. So we have to look at the personal details, we have to look at the business details, and that's what factors in. Like, I can't say one exact business, but I would say, like, I would probably narrow it down to construction. And it depends on the service. Construction, retail, restaurants. Yeah, and I would even put in there salon shops. Those are probably some of the quickest ones because of how they're generating sales and how much they're depositing into their business bank account. And it's like a repeating pattern for a lot of that. And even if it's not construction, like where they're exactly doing that, they come in and out because it's such a moving industry. And they need those funds as fast as they need, like, to get in and out. And those next jobs that are coming up, they have a lot of construction businesses, they have like huge projections. And so whenever I speak to a business owner in the construction industry, like 99.99% of them, they have plans like 3 to 5 years out already. Like, they know if they took this bid, what this would do to another one, how much exposure they would get. And they know what they're doing, like that. It's not to say that any other industry is not like quicker to get funding for, because you can. And again, it falls back onto the business owner's personal and business. It depends on how fast they submit documents, how they go through the underwriting process. If something points out that we have to look at deeper, what is that? But those were just some of the industries. Yes, Aaron, working capital. Growth, expansion, working capital, refinancing, consolidating, debt restructuring. I do all of it. And whether you needed help for one or the other, we can sometimes mix the two, see what you're needing. Like, we've had individuals already in here speaking about how they needed financing for equipment, they needed it for a new office building, they needed new tenants, commercial property buildings, and all of this. And I do it all, and I do it very well. When I'm not here, guys, you bet your butt I'm working. You're trying to get a trucking company started to hire vets. Awesome. So this is kind of a tricky situation. So I'm thinking pre-revenue here, right? So hard. You're not going to like my answer. I've said it so many times too. In the trucking transportation industry, you're limited. If you have even less than 25,000 a month in revenue, like on your lowest month, like those who have less than 25K, there's a reason why you get like sometimes not even past 10,000 to start with. So I would do a form of getting business credit cards. Do you have any? I would do a combination. I would actually try to see if I can leverage my own personal credit cards, whatever I have there. But I would differentiate right now and start working on getting business credit cards. And when you have everything set up before that, obviously, like you want to have your LLC and everything if you don't have it already. And then get into a business credit program where you can start building vendor credit, getting some accounts open, some trade lines reporting. And then at the same time, we can work with you, with my team. And then we look at getting you credit lines. So you can leverage your personal credit. And if your personal credit isn't where it needs to be, this is what makes it much more difficult. And this is why people who don't have a good personal credit profile, they ignore everything. A lot of them ignore what I'll say. And it'll bite them in the ASS down the road, because they'll come back to me and go, what you said back then, I didn't really listen to. I wanted to do what I wanted to, or I kind of did listen, but I just didn't take any action on it. You're seeing the result of that now. It's a little too late. And now you're scrambling. So credit lines, liquidate the cash out of those business credit cards. You'll leverage your personal credit. If it isn't where it is, you want to fix it, increase it first. I can help you with that. Get it to a position where I would say a 650 and above, and to start getting applications in for those business credit cards. But even before that, is clean up anything derogatory, negative trade lines. If you have a lot of new opened trade lines, that can affect you more than it helps you. That's why a lot of people get declined for personal loans or don't get that much of a startup loan. But there are personal/startup loans for your trucking business where we... Excuse me, it kind of froze on my screen. Installment loans, lines of credit, and or credit cards. So if you do a personal / startup loan, they're somewhat similar. Excuse me. You want to have at least a 700 plus experience score, if not a 680, but with very strong credit, minimal inquiries, minimal debt to income ratio, etc. That's where we can begin. If you can leverage your annual revenue of at least 50,000 and verifiable in taxes or pay stubs, boom, you may be solid getting like 80,000 to start off with. You're like, dang, I got 80,000 just leveraging my personal side. Like, are you crazy? No, we're gonna lend you this, and if it makes sense for you to go for it, then go for it. Welcome in, Pedro. How are you doing? Aaron is asking a very good question. Is it possible to get working capital for investing / investment purposes, right? It is. Now, it depends on what type of investment that is. Like, we got to look deeper. Like, everybody's term of investment, I know what you're speaking to. When you say investment, I know more or less what you're referring to. But you're more going to be accepted as opposed to getting a lump sum. Like, all these private lenders look at you getting approved for a lump sum. They won't want to invest money into something like that. Too high of a risk, a churn. It's a quick short-term thing. But a line of credit could work. I know there are real estate lines of credit, a few of other ones, the credit line. So you could probably do a combination of those. Personal / startup loan. Like I just said right now too, like a personal loan would probably be a better way to go. Personal loan you can use for business. I'm getting a lot of those done. And because you can, like a business owner the other day, they couldn't qualify for a traditional like fix and flip. They needed money. So instead of getting them the traditional rate because the appraised value and all of that, the personal loan made the most sense, and they were getting approved for what they needed anyway. So they said, if I'm getting 1 to 5 years better than an MCA, and here's the difference, guys. Get ready, drum roll. A personal loan's advantage over a merchant cash advance, 1 to 5 years. That's all I gotta say. 1 to 5 years. Merchant cash advance is 3 to 24 months. Now, it depends on how much time you need, of course. But this, 6 to 18% interest rates. Merchant cash advances, 19 to about 70, if not 100%. Yeah, but it's a personal thing. Yeah, we're going to look at your credit more. We're not going to base it off of your bank statements entirely. If you don't have them, it's okay. So we got to look at those. Sometimes we can mix the two because we get you a personal loan and we get you a revenue-based loan. We go, hey, you don't have high enough debt to income yet, so let's get you a personal loan first, and then we can work on that revenue-based loan. That's how I would approach it. Don't open up a merchant cash advance or another loan and then say, I'm going to try to get a personal loan. I've had people right now recently who just didn't listen, and they went to go get a personal loan. They had 3 to 4 unsecured loans out now, 2 to 3 in the last 3 weeks. I'm like, what happened? And they wanted to do what they wanted to do. They had literally they had like no debt to income ratio. Understood. 50,000 in reserves. You want to leverage that into a loan. So do you mean you want to use what you have now and use it for what you need, and or get an additional amount on top of that? I always say, if you circulate enough cash flow to do what it is you need, that's one thing. But Aaron, I'm sure you know the numbers. Like I do this myself. If you circulate enough cash flow to do what it is you need, that's one thing. But Aaron, I'm sure you know the numbers. Like I do this myself. If you circulate enough cash flow to do what it is you need, that's one thing. But Aaron, I'm sure you know the numbers. Like I do this myself. Aaron, I'm sure you know the numbers. Like I do this myself. I have a month that's coming where I'm going to need like to use 70,000 of that. I'm not going to be comfortable keeping just 10,000 in my account. Would I? Some people would. They'd be happy with that. But for me, for what I need to get done, I go, hey, I'm going to have 50,000. I'm going to leverage at least half of that. I'll probably take 25,000 of that. And if I could get approved for an additional 75,000 maybe with the revenue that I'm doing, then I get 100,000. I only used up 25,000 there, and then I took 75,000 out, paying back, or 75,000. I'm paying back probably 89,000 or whatever it is, and I'm making 100,000 occurring, and then I'm able to additionally put more profit back into my profit business checking account. And so now I have an additional 30,000 on top of that, perhaps, or whatever it is it amounts to. So now you have an 80,000 amount circulating in your business. So as opposed to taking out 25,000, now you're able to get into 35,000 that you're able to take out of your own account, not taking a loan out of. And that big 10 to 15, even if little or more, boom. At the end of the year, you're going to be looking back on this and going, why didn't I do that sooner? Why didn't I not know about that? Good. Yes, I should pick a specific subject on a business like major trucking companies, construction, etc. And I've done that in the past. I'll do it more frequently as we move forward. I'll try to. We're kind of towards the end already anyways in this video, so I don't want to have to go into all of that right now. But I have done it before where I pick out a specific company. I may even start analyzing more companies here and even more of the high tier companies in those industries, and then see, okay, look, this is what their profit and loss indicates. This is what Amazon did. This is what they have going on here in the next months. And I've done that before, but I may do something like that, segmented into that. But again, we're kind of towards the end. I'm kind of tired to just start picking one industry right now, saying construction, trucking, but I definitely have done, and I could do that more. Yes, señorita. With shelf companies, any kind of shelf companies, if we're talking shelf corporations, any kind of a transition, anything you're buying into, definitely I can help. And like I said, I do all this stuff as a broker. So I'm seeing what's happening at every stage with underwriting and lenders. I like what you said there, fruit for thought. Appreciate you. Thank you for verbalizing it. And I think by now you guys think I'm trustworthy. I wouldn't be here doing this for my own health. I'm tired now, and I wouldn't be doing this literally if I was having some kind of ulterior motive. I don't have energy or time for that. For real estate, yeah, that can be possible, Aaron. Like lines of credit, credit lines, personal loans, startup loans, those are the ones. And there's benefits to those because you can get monthly repayments as opposed to weeklies and dailies. How can I get a business loan less than 1 year in business with a 700 credit? Good question, and welcome in. So this goes back to a few people in here already who have about a year, less than a year. And it'll be more scrutinizing. But if you don't have strong enough bank statements, or maybe you have enough and enough cash flow, we can leverage that with the form of revenue based, all revenue going into your business. And or we can look at your credit and just base it off of a credit program. Either one you feel more comfortable with and what could get you the most amount. So without knowing too much details, and this is for everybody in here, bio, questionnaire, fill it out, and then I'll give you a proper email response back on your best funding option and options. Some of you have already submitted them, like Ken. I think Ken just submitted it again. Actually, no, it was on this side. Yeah, so it goes to 2 different emails. And then Aaron, if you're in here watching, thank you. 37 minutes ago was submitted. This is an individual who has strong personal credit. They don't have strong revenue into their business. But this is a format where it'll be a little bit more difficult. It'll be a little bit more trickier if they don't have the annual revenue requirements to get them that type of a loan. But we can do other alternatives, like maybe credit lines, some other business credit cards. So yeah, you can leverage your personal credit, but like I said, without knowing too much, And I'm not going to start asking a lot right now because I'm kind of tired now at the end. Yes. When you said señorita to shelf companies, yeah, I had answered that earlier. I don't know if you heard that. It all does. Any form of financing, guys, moving forward from here, your personal credit is leveraged to get your business financing. Now, if we're looking at a business vendor credit, trade lines, and doing all that underneath another association, that's a different thing. It's being put underneath your business. Now, yes, for the majority of the time, your personal credit is going to be leveraged. Your reason being is because we want to see who has ownership of a business. We want to see who has had past ownership of this business. What's the history? We want to know what their character is, because it's about character at the end of the day. It's about seeing who that person is who runs the business. Like, if you pay your bills on time, like, how are we supposed to know you'll be able to pay us back if you can't even pay your bills on time or you don't have enough creditworthiness to get you the amount you need? So let's do about 30 more seconds, guys. I'm kind of getting tired here. And you guys can refer to the bio for all information when I'm not here. Keep looking out for my content. I'll answer your question in just a moment. And go to the bio, go through my channel, my blog, learn a lot about everything. And again, I don't believe anybody can deliver the kind of value that I do. I take time and energy and very much value that, because in a short minute, if that's all you get from me, it'll be the most impactful minute you had. Good question. What credit score should be the base target? So whether it's a shelf corporation or not, I know we have different thoughts about it because I've worked with those business owners as well. Regardless of that, trucking, construction, anything at play, you guys should be shooting for, I would have said a 625 in about a year ago. Honestly, I would be shooting for at least a 650 and above. 660 better. 660 and above, 650 plus. Shoot for that. 700, of course, plus better. 650, dab in the middle. Up. That's going to open up better terms. Like, it's a big difference from 4 to 6 months to 7 to 11 months to 12 to 24 plus months. You are most welcome. Okay. I believe that sums up everything. Thank you guys for tuning in. And you guys can always refer to the bio for all information, for all help you guys need. This guy has to get going. I need to go take my break. I'm going to have a meal. And I'm going to be in my thoughts thinking about you guys. Literally, I am. And then I'm going to tune away once I start eating my meal. I'm going to start focusing on other things and really helping you guys out. Oh, do I work with anyone to repair? Yes, I do. Señorita, I have one of the best, actually, and I don't just say that like it's a marketing thing. No, I actually have a guy who I personally in business connect with well, and having tried different people, like I did it myself a long time ago with the actual software, but I'm so busy doing this part, like I have to outsource that. So I have a guy, his name is Steve, and I can connect you with the team. What I recommend, if you're interested in that, bio, link click, I can actually try to guide you to it right now. So if I go to my bio, I go to my link tree, it should be at the bottom, but it'll say credit repair. You can click there and it'll likely take you to my video. You can watch a video review of the company. And what you want to do is fill out the questionnaire form. Now, don't call that number right away because they don't always pick up, and that's not the right systematic approach. And if you did call, just say, hey, you were referred by, you say my first name, Michael Granado, saw him on TikTok. His handle is this. It's very likely Steve will get a hold of me, but you don't want to do it that way normally. You want to do it in filling out that questionnaire because I can see a bird's eye view. And when I submit it to my team, I can converse with them and get them more prepared on what will happen. So over here, one second. I actually have to log out of this account and log into my other one. Here it is. So I scroll down here. So where it says credit repair help, it'll be the third to last. So I click on credit repair help, and it'll bring you to my YouTube video where you'll learn more about the credit repair company that I outsource to and why I would go over them versus the majority of the competitors out there, and why they're somebody to believe in very strongly. I have my video right now as I'm looking at it. I hope that helps. All right, guys. Let's have a great week. Let's have a great week. Be mindful. Continue showing up. Appreciate those of you who commented and didn't comment. I'm not going to ask you to say something. It's okay. I'm an introvert. I listen more than I speak. But the fact that you're here today asking questions or not, or just listening very closely, tells me a lot. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your afternoon and evening, and I will talk to you guys on the next one. Bye.